tips about the webinar platform. If you would like to join in and comment at the end during the question and answer session, and we hope you will, press the raised hand icon on your dashboard. You'll see a little hand button. That will let me know to unmute you. All the attendees are currently listening in listen-only mode, so we can't hear you if you try to talk. We have about 50 people on the call right now, and hopefully a few more will join as we continue. So the other way you can ask a question or type in a comment is through that chat dashboard on your screen. So if at any point you want to type in a question, we can either type back a response or answer it during the Q&A portion, which will be at the end of the call. So please do feel free to chime in. We hope you'll be able to share your experiences fundraising for your events last year for Food Day, ask questions, and we'll try to answer them. So for now, I'll pass it over to Lilia, and I will let you know that we are going to be recording this call, so we'll probably send around a follow-up, or we can give you a link if you'd like to access the recording of the call and share it with others. Okay, so Lilia, I'll go ahead and hand you the reins.
Well, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to this third monthly call for Food Day organizers. And we decided to do it on fundraising because we received many questions on, like, how do we finance Food Day events, how we make it sustainable, and how we make it happen on the local and state level. So we are very happy that Jane Wellner, our development director, is with us with the presentation, and then we'll try to answer your questions later on. And before that, I just want to give a very quick, like a couple of minute update of what has happened on the national level last month. So we have several new partners who joined their Food Day partners list, and one of them is Organic Trade Association, and also United Natural Foods. They're a big distributor of organic and natural products, and it's nice to see the interest from companies coming. I think last year we touched a lot, like the nonprofit world, like mayors, governors, politicians, a little bit less companies. So we are really happy to see the interest from the traders of like healthy products of fresh fruits and vegetables. We have National Association of Nutrition Professionals, National Wellness Institute. Earlier this year, they announced Food Day as one of their national health observances. And also National Wellness Institute, it's sort of like symbolic that they joined the national list, because one of their targets of this year's Food Day is to work more on wellness, on employee wellness, and on corporate wellness, and on wellness in workplaces. So we are talking with many companies and many public offices around the country to suggest and to recommend to use Food Day as maybe a new phase of the employee wellness campaign, or as a kickoff of an employee wellness campaign. Well, this is not a new piece of news that we've partnered with the President's Challenge Program to support First Lady's Let's Move initiative, but I just want to mention it because this is one of the ways that we suggest people around the country connect with Food Day by taking the challenge, maybe starting 6 weeks prior to Food Day, because it's a 6 weeks challenge, or just starting on Food Day and then going ahead for 6 weeks with recommended minutes of physical activity for kids and for adults, and also with their everyday small steps to improve the diet. And our advisory board has 80-something people, and Senator Ron Wyden from Oregon joined Food Day Advisory Board a couple of weeks ago. So this is a big piece of news for us. The U.S. Conference of Mayors adopted a resolution in Orlando a couple of weeks ago proclaiming Food Day around the country and urging all mayors to participate. So their resolution was suggested by the mayor of Los Angeles, Baltimore, and Boston, and then supported by like half a dozen of other mayors that feel strongly about Food Day being a big initiative around the country. And now we are reaching out to many city halls around the country, urging mayors to get involved with Food Day and to participate, maybe like from showing up at an event to helping to publicize it now that we still have a little bit more than 3 months to go, and also by using Food Day to announce better food policies and starting the conversations how food policies can be involved in the cities. So I invite you to get in touch with your mayor and let them know that there is this U.S. Conference of Mayors resolution and that Food Day is a good way for them to tie in with it. This is the homepage. It's a preview of our new website that will be up next week. It's a completely revamped website. We use Nation Builder platform that is heavily integrated, as you can see, with Twitter. We have a blog. We aim to have a couple of posts a week. It will have pages to host an event, to attend an event, a map with all the activities and initiatives going on around the country. And early next week, we'll have a soft launch. And I invite you to go on the website and to register your events. And then anytime you can edit the text and come back and add more details. But before we send out like a hard announcement that the website is up, we want to have some activities registered there already. So it will have a lot of resources. And here's this one example. Their Food Day recipe card. It's front and back, and on the back you have a healthy recipe, and on the front it's sort of like a reminder about the website and the date. It will have these organizers guide, the guide for campus organizers, the guide for all organizers, and the school guide is also coming up in a week or so, and much more. So it's very user-friendly. It's mostly not only for organizers, but also for regular folks that pass by our website are interested how to get involved and how to participate. And while last year our website was more for activists and for people who were organizing events on the ground, so this year with Food Day we aim to reach out to main public, to regular crowd, to people who are not that much interested maybe in food issues. And through Food Day we want to raise awareness and advance food issues that many of us are working on. And before I pass to Jane, just a reminder that on July 17th we will have an extraordinary webinar to present the school guide. And it will be on our website, the link to register there. It will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll have two people talking, one from National Gardening Association and one from National Farm to School Network, how to get involved with Food Day in school gardens, and also how to make use of the National Farm to School Network, Farm to School Month, that is also October. So please join on July 17th if you are interested to hear more about Food Day in schools. And that's it for now. I'll be on the call to answer your questions later, and I pass it over to Catherine and then to Jane to talk about fundraising.
Thank you, Lilia. Okay, so I'll just jump in. My name is Jane Welma. I'm the Director of Development at the Center for Science and the Public Interest, and I've been working with Lilia and Catherine on fundraising for National Food Day. They have referred me occasionally to local groups to help coach them through some fundraising, and so I understand that there's a variety of you on the phone, so I'm going to give a general overview of the general picture for fundraising for Food Day, open it up for question and answer, and then I'm very open to talking offline with any one of you, any of you about your specific questions as well. Just as an outline, I'll talk a little bit about recommendations for presenting your Food Day project or efforts for funding to funders. Then go ahead and talk about different sources that are good sources for Food Day funding, and then end with a discussion
about shaping the priorities of your local funding sources and encouraging them to fund good things, obviously. So to start, I spelled out a few things that I wanted to spell out a few things that funders look for specifically indicators that show that you are going to use their money very wisely. One of the things that we've learned is that it's tough to secure funding for a single day of events, and to be successful, you really need to frame your event as either the launch of an initiative or the culmination of an initiative. Food Day is every day, in fact, and I know that you do a lot of organizing year-round in preparation for Food Day. So can you describe what it is that Food Day is? It's not just a single event. It's much bigger and broader than that. And to talk about the broader, the broader mission of Food Day and what it is doing for your community. Another pointer is to create partnerships with those organizations who stand to benefit from the changes that you're seeking, including groups representing low income and people of color. A lot of funders are very mindful of that and want to be sure that that the efforts that you're doing are being shaped by those same communities that are going to benefit. And in your written materials, clearly define Food Day's uniqueness in terms of your own community needs. Generally, Food Day is unique in that it creates an opportunity for a broad set of stakeholders to collaborate. So what your job is to state specifically what that means for your city or state. And generally, it's really great to use graphics to illustrate the problem, and graphics also to show the potential for change. Another observation is that because of the economy, it's good to include in your framework and your analysis steps for how your Food Day project addresses the economy and how, especially the local economy, how improving the food system can help people in your community on that score. The last thing I was going to say for framing your Food Day proposal is to be sure to explicitly spell out how you're going to be drawing on existing resources for advice on policy solutions and existing research. And there are a number of organizations at this stage that are really, really good resources. I mean, on foodday.org, there are a whole list of organizations and information about where the latest research is. Change Lab Solutions is a really excellent resource. Another good resource is the Community Commons networking site, because funders want to know that you are connected and that you're basing your Food Day plan on what's been done, what's tried and true, and you're in conversation with others. And that's one of the things that National Food Day is intent on doing and helping you do. So in terms of sources of funding, there are a range of sponsors. Your most reliable and sustainable source of funding is going to be your partners, the partner groups in your community. So if your Food Day event includes your local YMCA, your Boys and Girls Club, get them involved, get your union involved, get your church or your synagogue involved, local hospitals, local business associations, local pediatric associations. Get each of those entities to those funds each year and pool reserves for financing whatever food day event you have, but also to contribute in kind, to make in-kind contributions. That could be hugely valuable to you. Another traditional source of funding are businesses, but Food Day is very different from Earth Day. Earth Day is supported quite a bit by industry, but Food Day does not have corporate financial support. CSBI and National Food Day have chosen our funding sources very carefully, and that's not been easy because the food and beverage industry is eager to be perceived as part of the solution. Understandably, it's in their interest to be sponsors and have their name on Food Day, of course. But there's a conflict in that because the reality is that if people are going to be healthier, then food companies, as a rule, at least the ones that have funding and are eager to put their name on Food Day, are going to have to sell less food, and that's not in their interest. Kelly Brownell has an interesting article on this in the PLOS Medicine, Public Library of Science Medicine. Current issue has they have a series on food policy. His is called Thinking Forward, the Quicksand of Appeasing the Food Industry. That's a fascinating article. But for businesses with whom you'd like to share the glow of Food Day, we encourage you to select those groups, those businesses carefully. We urge local groups to set your own guidelines and to discuss them among your partners and agree upon written sponsorship guidelines, because that will ensure independent decision-making and prevent undue influence and avoid misunderstandings among partner groups, and also avoid real or perceived conflicts of interest. But for those businesses that you want to engage them in cross-promotional ways, ask them for financial support. In return, include their name on your literature and in press coverage, and ask local stores to designate a percentage of their sales on one particular day to your cause. There are a number of ways that you can engage them, and it's good because there are obviously a lot of local, organic, wonderful, wholesome food businesses that we want to raise up as well and partner with. Another source of funding is making your event itself a fundraiser. Some groups have talked about the fact that it's hard to raise money for the very basic cost of what you're doing, and to do a joint fundraiser, funds of which are divided up among the partner groups, is an idea that some people have talked about, like doing a walkathon that follows a route from one Food Day event to another Food Day event in your city. There are you can develop donors. You can cultivate donors for Food Day. One strategy that's always fun is to host an event at one person's home, bring in an expert or a well-known person to attract interest, then invite 5 well-connected and sympathetic people to serve as hosts, and invite 10 other people who have the capacity to make a donation to your Food Day effort. Another strategy is to find one generous individual who would like to make a contribution, to offer it as a match to smaller gifts for any dollars raised, either at that event or any other events that you do. Another idea is to consider auctioning off a dinner at a local restaurant with a local celebrity. So those are little things that you can do as a build-up, or you can do a series of those kinds of dinners, which is a lot of fun and also is useful in networking. Obviously, you're drawing in more people and cultivating donors at the same time. And then there are private and community foundations. A number of community foundations have health and agriculture as as a priority, and you should seek those out. One of the places you can look to see if there are community foundations near you is just this website called www.communityfoundations.net. Find out where those are, and those are largely donor-advised funds, and so there's sometimes there are RFPs and proposals to be had, and sometimes not, but it's certainly worth approaching. Another excellent source I would think for Food Day is our health conversion foundations. Those are foundations that are formed, the assets are had by, after the forming of a public or a nonprofit hospital bought by a for-profit company. And by law, a portion of the profits from that sale have to be dedicated to community health concerns. And I know that nearly 200 community or health conversion foundations have been formed since 1980. Last year's the Food Day received a grant from a very large health conversion foundation in California. And then national foundations are another source. There are some national foundations that have local advocacy funding programs. I know that the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is poised to now begin funding advocacy, specifically on childhood obesity. And then for those of you who are interested, last year a couple very active local groups came to the national office here at Food Day with some ambitious plans, and we worked with them closely and did some joint fundraising in New York and in California, and that was a lot of fun, and we had some really flashy events in each of those cities. Sure. So another source of funding is government funding, and that's really at least at the federal level increased dramatically in the last couple of years. State and local health departments are struggling financially, but some of those health departments have secured federal monies, either the CPPW or CTG grants, that stands for the communities. Well, the CTG is the Community Transformation Grants, and the CPPW are the Communities Putting Prevention to Work grants. And there's the REACH program. Each of these I can put links in a subsequent email to you if you'd like to research them. CTG grants, they actually have an RFP out right now. Those are large grants for cities and states interested in making big programs. They're ones that you can't really throw together a proposal. It takes a few months to develop, but it's definitely worth taking a look at those very closely because they have rounds of RFPs, and it's something to plan for. Very, very good, and very, for serious efforts in your community. And USDA also has sources for healthy food financing. Treasury Department even has some financing as well. Financial Institutions Fund is one. Each of those I'll put out there. And there's also another good source for finding out about government funding is the Prevention Institute, Trust for America's Health, and Change Lab Solutions as well. There's excellent sources for finding out about grants and getting advice. The last thing I wanted to talk about today is helping to shape the priorities of local funding sources. We urge you to partner with other organizations to set up meetings and meet with local funders, discuss their funding priorities, and to help shape what it is that they're funding. You can get engaged with advisory committees of health conversion funds if you're interested. A number of health conversion funds by law have these advisory committees. You can get on them. I'll send a link to that. You can urge them to give to good causes, especially causes that would otherwise be tempted to take money from industry, pesticide industry, food, beverage. The more that the private foundations or government sources can cover the cost of, cover your costs, food day causes, the better, and the less dependent we will be on industry funding. It's also great if they could not only support advocating bringing healthy food in, but also to get the bad food out and limit the availability of unhealthy foods, something that is a little riskier for foundations, but with the urging at the local level, that's very helpful. You can also urge funders to invest a portion of their assets in local good food enterprises, something that the California Endowment has done in their state. And then finally, of course, you can head up an effort to secure for your community one of the big government grants that we talked about earlier. Or if your community is already seeking one or has gotten one of those types of grants, get involved in it and get involved in implementing it. So that's sort of the overview of funding for Food Day. And I'm happy to field questions and have a discussion about your experiences and your thoughts.
So at this point, if anyone wants to type in a question or a comment that they have, maybe an experience about fundraising for Food Day that they had last year, or questions they have, obstacles they're facing this year, we can try to field those, and we will also we'll be sending out the links, as Jane said, in the follow-up materials. A couple of people typed in and asked whether there'll be available materials available, supportive materials, and we're happy to send around links to some of those things Jane mentioned, and to also help you with your individual funding proposals as well. So do go ahead and email us at foodday@cstinet.org if you have specific questions about funding proposals. I wanted to mention that we'll have a sort of template, a very basic template available on foodday.org for letters of inquiry, and we can help to sort of tailor those a little bit more as needed. So at this point, are there other people who have questions? Oh, let's see, we've got a couple of them typed in now. So Shanice says, I'm a student working on this. I spearheaded the event last year, but my support is left. It's difficult to get support. And how can we get around this and help fellow students to learn about healthy eating? So Shanice, one thing I would recommend is listening to our campuses webinar. We had some really great organizers on the campus call, which was earlier this year, who talked about funding and securing funds from the university. And if you email foodday@cstinet, we can send you a copy of that call. I think that was really helpful for students and for groups organizing on campuses. So that's a start to an answer for your question. Okay. So let's see. Alyssa Lee also asked about funding on campuses, and I'd say also, Alyssa, would you email us at foodday@cstinet.org, and we can send you a copy of the campus call, and maybe hook you up with some of those organizers to get more ideas for looking for funding in the community as a campus organization.
I see a question there that's interesting. Joanne Hammermaster is asking, do you have suggestions for fundraising if we are not a 501c3? And that's a common problem, but easily fixed. You would be wise to find a fiscal sponsor. In general, Food Day urges Food Day coordinators to partner with other groups and to work collaboratively. So it's a matter of finding, I guess, some organization in your community that you feel is sympathetic and supportive of what it is that you are doing, and asking them to serve as a fiscal sponsor. Usually what that means is that that organization would be the grant recipient and take, I forget what it is, like up to 5% of the grant funds. So you would build in that particular amount so that your costs were covered, the administrative costs of handling a grant. So I hope that answers your question.
Chastity Butterfield asked, do you have a sample budget for Food Day events? She coordinated an event last year in Lima, but it was, all sort of on her own. And we do have some organizers who may have put together sample budgets. Not sure if we have a kind of template for.
Yeah, I mean, the Food Day events range so dramatically in size and scope, but you probably could devise a template. It would be, in general, you have your hard costs of whatever literature you have, or it's hard to do without knowing what it is that your event is. But maybe we can talk offline, and I can help you with that.
So we've had a couple of people ask about sort of how to get connected with others in their area to sort of form those partnerships that Jane was talking about and have multi-organization events. And the first stop would be at foodday.org under the Organize tab. You'll find a list of our confirmed coordinators, so you can reach out to those folks who have agreed to be point people for their area. We have about 100 of those currently. And if you don't have a coordinator in your area, you can sign up to be one and sort of help to start that process. But we may have contacts who have emailed us recently or just gotten in touch with who are in your area and are interested, but we don't have them listed as a coordinator yet. So I would recommend emailing foodday@cscinet.org. Just make it clear which area you're in, city and state, and we can check to see if anyone's contacted us from that area or whether we've made contact with other organizations in your city or town to try to get you connected with more people. Renee Turan from Savannah, Georgia wrote that he's happy to share documents from the Food Day Festival, which was a really large-scale, wonderful Food Day event last year that Renee helped to pull off in Savannah with Well Fed. And so that would be great if we'll share Renee's email for those of you who are interested in learning about the process he went through to sort of pull off that community festival and maybe see some documentation from that.
Some budget.
And some budget, right.
Budget templates.
Right, for Chastity, yeah. And Renee also says he has sponsorship forms and volunteer forms. I think those would be really helpful documents. And maybe, Renee, we can work with you to create just a sample template for our website that people could use if they're pulling off an event. That's a great idea, so thank you.
And I should say, this is Jane speaking again, I should say that I am happy to look over your RFPs or your proposals for you. So if you want to be in touch with me directly, my email address is jwelna@cspinet.org.
And we've just typed that into the chat box there. So yeah, if you have specific questions for Jane, you can reach out. Let's see, were there other questions here we haven't addressed? Okay, do other folks want to jump in and maybe share stories about their experiences last year fundraising? you can press the raised hand icon and I can unmute you to actually speak to the audience, or you can type it in. Let's see, we might have one raised hand here. Okay. Are there other questions that you had about maybe Jane's presentation, ideas about partnering, or experiences you've had, things you're up against this year?
This is Lily again. I just want to mention their work with companies on the local and state level. Although both Center for Science in the Public Interest and Food Day do not accept corporate funding, on the local and level and on the city level, Food Day organizers can ask companies to support their Food Day events, like local events, accepting their funding for their organizations. And of course, our suggestion is like use your best judgment of who can be a company to ask for the sponsorship for a Food Day event, and email us if you have doubts. But for example, Whole Foods last year partnered with Epicurious.com on the national level to have matching grants for their groups that were fundraising for their local nonprofits or food banks. And Whole Foods is a good partner. And for example, here in DC, they are considering to give a percentage of one-day sales to one nonprofit in DC as a Food Day action, just because there is no like event in DC that the groups are working on that can accept the funding. But I think that they would be an easy get. Last year we spoke with a Great Harvest Bakery. It's a franchise of bakeries around the country, and they also offered us, like, do you want to have a day when we will give a percentage of sales to Food Day. We cannot do that, but local organizers can approach them and ask them to be a sponsor. So, like, this is something to think about, because sometimes it's easy to get good. Well, it's hard to say what companies are good to accept their funding from, but mostly those that like share the values and that you will feel happy to align the brand of your organization and of Food Day with them supporting the event. And if you have any doubts, email us.
This is Jane again. I was going to say also that there are more and more local foundations who are devoting funds to food system changes, and a really good influence on that is this Convergence Partnership. It's a group of big national foundations that are matching every dollar that selected local foundations give towards food systems changes. It's a grouping of like Robert Wood Johnson, Kaiser, Kellogg, and what they're trying to do is to encourage those local foundations that are city or state based to give more in this area, and so that's so I would, if you assume that your local foundation is not giving in this area, I would check again. Number one, to see if that may have changed, but also number two, meet with them and talk to them about why it's important that they do give in this area and why they should support specifically your Food Day event.
Great. And I think at this point, Renee Turan, we'll go ahead and unmute you to provide some experience and advice on fundraising. Are you there?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Yes, well, so last year we were very lucky to get such a wide response in such a short amount of time. We basically put together our Food Day Festival in about 5 weeks, and were able to raise nearly $20,000 in funding. I feel strongly that that was really due in large part to the amount of media sponsorship that we had. And so I really wanted to stress that what I feel is a crucial sort of first step is to reach out to virtually every single media outlet in your area and see who would be interested in kind of an in-kind sponsorship in which they would give you, if it's print, then it would be advertising in their publication, or if it's TV, they can do like little banner ads, or maybe even have you on their morning show. You'd be surprised how many local TV stations are really hungry for good news. And so I think that you'll be surprised to find that a lot of them are going to be much more receptive to sort of a positive message. So once you kind of have your event or events or campaign sort of put together roughly, I would suggest the first step is to try and get media outlets. Then once you have those media outlets, you can then go to other sponsors who are going to be a lot more interested in sponsoring you if they know that, say, their logo is going to be printed in the newspaper, or that their logo might appear on a banner ad on TV. We'd like to hope that most of the donors might come in for more altruistic intentions, but honestly, the more exposure they're going to get, they're going to be a lot more willing to kind of open up their pocketbooks. A great place to start once you kind of secured some media sponsorship is definitely, it is called Food Days. So anything surrounding the food and beverage industry is a great place to start. Not just restaurants, but if you look at, say, if you maybe go to a restaurant that does serve organic cuisine, you can find out who distributes that organic cuisine to them. Maybe there's a local grass-fed cattle farmer, whether it's a distribution company. A lot of times you even have, say, for example, alcohol distributors who carry organic wines. A lot of times they're just looking for different avenues in which to sort of promote these more niche items that they have. So I think, yeah, that's a great place to start, and good luck.
Good strategy. I like that. That's a really great example.
Thanks, Renee. And are there others who might have advice or tips, or maybe also looking for advice on obstacles to funding this year? Okay. Well, there was a question about our resource, the Food Day recipe cards. And Hollis Shepard was asking about healthy snack recipes. And something I suggested for her is our partner Food Play. I believe their website is foodplay.org. And they have a bunch of great recipes for kids and for families that are healthier versions of snacks and things that kids can make themselves. So I would recommend checking out their website. And we also partner with Epicurious.com, who last year hosted a charity event with Whole Foods on the internet, an online event where people could submit recipes for a contest, and then they would win prizes. And the best dinner, maybe Lily, you can explain this better than I can, but the winner got part of their, it was for fundraising dinners, right? So organizers had fundraising dinners, and the Epicurious and Whole Foods people supported those fundraising dinners for local food charities. So it was a great event, and Epicurious.com is a good resource for recipes, healthy recipes too. And like I said, Food Play is also a good one for family recipes and kids. We will be reposting our recipe book this year as well. Some of you may have seen the Food Day 2011 recipe book, Eat Real Recipes, and that's still on our website currently under the 2011 section. So if you're interested in using some of our recipes as well, that's a good place to start. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, so Kathleen Puffer asked, does anyone have a large community soup recipe? Was thinking of having our farmers market donate food for a community soup for our farmers market food day event. That's a really nice idea. I think we encourage people to think about working with farmers markets, and I can't think of particularly a place where we could find a soup recipe, but I would try epicurious.com, or if other people on the call have ideas for that. But it sounds like a really good idea for collaborating with your local farmers market, and we partner on the national level with the National Farmers Market Coalition, who helped us get the word out last year to many farmers markets on the ground. Most of the events that happen at farmers markets tend to be chef demonstrations, tasting, passing out recipes that can be made with farmers market ingredients, or sort of extending a farmers market to be longer than it normally is, to incorporate other community exhibitors and events. And Robin Guy weighed in and said, I'm a farmers market management, and you can usually stop by an info booth at the market. So yeah, that's a good suggestion, is putting materials out at an info booth. We're happy to send food day recipe cards or food day brochures to events. So if you need something that's branded with food day, you can also find our logo and the template for that on our website. If you want to download it and use it for the development of your own print materials or banner for your farmers market or for any event. Okay, we have a question about the Conference of Mayors resolution and how many cities or mayors in the country have signed on or indicated that they'll be supporting Food Day. We want to ensure that our city or mayor feels the pressure to sign on. So I can't give you an exact number right now, but I know that at least a dozen mayors have expressed interest or already sent proclamations for Food Day to the national office. And I imagine that as many more have been in contact with local organizers. We did do a national outreach push to mayors across the country earlier this year. And now with the resolution, we're renewing that push and sort of asking mayors to sign on. We had 7 mayors sign on to the joint resolution, including Baltimore and Philadelphia and some major cities. So that's a thing to mention. If you go to our website under the newsroom, you can find the press release on the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and we encourage folks to print that out and send it to their local mayor. It sort of outlines the support of the U.S. Conference of Mayors for Food Day, and that might be a helpful tool. Sandra Silva writes in, I think regarding the earlier farmers market event, you could have a stone soup idea, have each person add 1 ingredient to a pot of boiling water. Nice. And then you also asked whether Mayor Emanuel signed the proclamation, and I'm not sure about that, Sandra, but we'll check on that and get back to you. I know that we did do a push. Yeah, go ahead, Lily.
Mayor Emanuel signed the proclamation last year, and I hope he will do it again this year. And the resolution was submitted by Mayor of Boston, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Providence, St. Louis, and University City. And that was the submission to the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And it says mayors support for Food Day, and resolves that the United States Conference of Mayors endorses the proclamation of October 24th as Food Day and urges all mayors to take part in related events on that day. So that was like the suggestion that came from these mayors, and it was voted by the conference. So last year we had more than 70 cities sign in Food Day proclamations, and we hope that many more will do this year. But I think with signing a proclamation is just like such an easy thing that we'd really want to use these U.S. conference resolution as a way to get mayors involved in some a little bit like more meaningful way than just signing a resolution. Although signing a resolution is wonderful because they are inspiring for the organizers, and it's a nice way to show that the city is supportive of Food Day.
Okay, are there other questions, comments? We addressed people's questions. Jennifer Rothman asked, do we have a form letter for mayoral participation? And we do. We have a sample proclamation, which will be posted on the new foodday.org. I believe it's posted on the 2011 version is still posted on foodday.org currently. So if you'd like to use that as a sample and adapt it, changing the date and for your area, you could do that. We can also send you the 2012 version, Jennifer. If you'll just email a reminder to foodday@cscinet.org. We'll have that posted, though, as I say, on the new website, same URL, new website, sometime next week. Hollis Shepard wrote in that plans to get volunteers and donations to serve every kid in the school that his son attends, or her son attends, I'm sorry, Hollis, with healthy afternoon snacks. With any luck, I hope to serve 10 or more schools, and in a future year, all the schools in the Austin Independent School District. So that's wonderful, and I would love to be in touch with you. I'm a point person for Texas here at the national office, along with Lilia, so it'd be great to get your ideas on involving the AISD, and I think that's an inspiring example for parents to sort of get involved in school food. We have resources in our school activities guide, will be updated this week and put on the new website. We also have our curriculum for Food Day that was made specially for schools, can be adapted to the elementary, middle, and high school level. So I encourage you to check out our resources section and look at our resources for schools if you're interested in doing a school event for Food Day.
I might add to that sort of a related comment to that, to your comment, Hollis, is that CSCI also has a report that actually could be very useful to a lot of organizers. It's about it's a guide to healthy fundraisers for schools. It reviews, the range of fundraisers that people normally use, selling cookie dough and candy and that kind of thing, and recommends a number of other ways to raise money and some case studies to show that they can raise just as much, if not more, money for the school. We're happy to make that available to people. So maybe I'll put a link to that on my subsequent email to folks if they're interested.
And Nora Peters wrote in that on the school food note, there's a USDA webinar coming up about after-school meals and how to sign up for the federal program to get reimbursed for after-school meals. Thank you, Nora. That's really helpful, and we'll share that link that you included with the audience, both in the chat box and in the follow-up notes. Any other comments or questions before we wrap up today? Robin Guy mentions Reef Farmers Markets. You could also ask a manager to donate a booth. That's a good idea.
So this is, we have another comment from Shanice Mazava saying, is it possible to host this event completely for free? This is Jane responding, and I would guess I would say there's nothing is done for free, but I think that you can host a very effective event with entirely with contributions that are in kind. So on a certain level, yes, I think that you can do quite a bit with the resources that are at hand through your community organizations that are supportive of Food Day.
Okay, so if there are no more questions or comments at this point, we will go ahead and wrap up the call. And if we didn't answer your questions, or if you think of something later, feel free to email us, foodday@cscinet.org, and we'll direct you to one of our point people. And we'll be sending around a follow-up email for all the registrants with the links that Jane mentioned and the recording of the call and other resources that we think might be helpful to you for fundraising. So we hope this was an informational webinar for you, that you got some answers or maybe some ideas. And please let us know if we can be supportive in your efforts to get funds for your Food Day event. Jane is available to help, and so is the Food Day staff. So please do feel free to be in contact with us. Lilia, any final words or comments you have?
No, I think we should wrap up.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Thanks, everyone, for joining this call, and we'll follow up soon.